Shana Tova from Karen Biavna. Imagine that when we go in front of the Kisei HaKavod, when we go in front of the Beis Din Shel Mala, we're told the following. Before we judge you, we want to ask you a question. Would you like to be judged very harshly, very leniently, or somewhere in between? And we say, you're asking me? I get to decide? And they say, sure, you get to decide. So of course, we would all go with a very lenient treatment, a very lenient judgment. In fact, we do get to decide. The Shulchan Aruch in Siman Tov Reish Vav speaks about the fact that one is meant to be mefayes es chavero, his friend, before Yom Kippur, and it points out that the one that's asked for forgiveness should see to it to try to forgive his friend. And the Mishnah Berurah points out, quotes the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, Kala ma'avir al midosav mochalin lo okal b'sha'av. A person that puts aside his midos, a person that's willing to forgive others and deal leniently with others, so he himself is forgiven as well. The Sha'ar HaTziyun points out that a person is judged midah keneged midah. And if I'm forgiving to others, for cases where accidentally the fellow was in a rush, we were dancing at a wedding and he accidentally stepped on my toe, I'll forgive him. But the fellow that insulted me, the fellow that called me a name, I'm never going to forgive him. So also in Shamayim, they'll forgive me for sins which were done accidentally, not those that were done with some element of mazid. If I want forgiveness, even for things that were done somewhat b'mazid, then I need to forgive others as well. In fact, this forgiving with others is something which we do in Tefillah Zakah. Before Yom Kippur, we forgive others. There are certain exceptions listed over there, but basically we try to forgive others for that which they did to us. Along similar lines, the Chafetz Chaim, the same author of course as the Mishnah Berurah, points out at the beginning of the Sefer Shmiras HaLashon that there seems to be a bit of a contradiction between two sources. The Gemara in Bab Metzia Daf Lamed indicates that Yerushalayim was destroyed due to the fact that people were sticklers for their rights. Ha'amidu dineim al din Torah. On the other hand, we're told in the Psukim that Yerushalayim was destroyed because of all sorts of averos. Seemingly a contradiction, says the Chafetz Chaim, not necessarily a contradiction at all. True, Yerushalayim was destroyed because of all sorts of averos, but had people been forgiving one to another, had they not been ma'amid dineim al din Torah, had they been mevater to others, then also in Shamayim, they would have been mevater to them as well. They tell the story of a certain town in which the community was unhappy with the fellow that sold cheese. They claimed that what he sold as half a kilo of cheese was really a bit less than half a kilo. And the baker of the city was sent to take the cheese seller to a din Torah. And they asked the fellow that sells the cheese, do you have anything to say for yourself? That your half a kilo isn't really half a kilo? So the fellow says, well, I'll tell you the truth. I don't have any weights at home. But what I do know is that the baker sells loaves which he claims are half a kilo. And I put on one side of the scale the loaf of bread, the other side of the scale, the cheese. And if in fact my cheese is not a half a kilo, apparently that's due to the fact that the baker that's now taking me to a din Torah, apparently his loaves of bread are not a half a kilo either. Focusing on the faults of others just brings and attracts attention to our own faults, our own deficiencies. The Kedushas Levi said, Shoftim v'shotrim titein lecha. We are the ones that decide. We decide how strict in Shamayim they'll be on us. If we go l'fnei mishras hadin with others, it's difficult when others are careless, when others are sometimes insensitive, when others are downright nasty. But if we are willing to be forgiving to others, in Shamayim, they will be forgiving to us as well. Gmar Chatima Tova.